Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dino Reviews. Let's talk Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation was originally released in 1995. Now it was put back on the shelf and then re-released in 1997. Two of the reasons for that were Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, who both star in the film. When the movie was originally released, they weren't really big stars, but of course very quickly they became the big stars we know today. The production company of course wanted to cash in on this and quickly re-released the movie, attaching both their names as the big stars they were. Matthew McConaughey at the time actually tried to get the entire thing shut down. He tried to stop them from cashing in on his name. That didn't really work out too well for him, but at the same time nobody really came to see the fourth entry in the series. The plot of the movie is your typical slasher fare. We have a group of teenagers who get lost on prom night and bump into Leatherface and his famous family. Now guys, what I will say is Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger are by far the best things in this film. If you look past the plot, if you look past the bizarre choices the director makes throughout the movie, and just look at the casting, he did a really great job in that aspect of the movie. Matthew McConaughey in particular, he plays the role of Wilmer. He's kind of the leader of the Leatherface clan. Now for whatever reason, they have been named to Sawyer in this one instead of Sawyer, and they are completely different characters than the last couple of movies. We'd already seen that in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, but this one does kind of take the cake, where they just go over the top with each character. You mainly see that in Wilmer's character. He is really campy, he's very kooky, and he is over the top. Matthew McConaughey, the acting at times is way too out there. He kind of goes too far at times throughout the movie, but at the same time you can tell he's having a lot of fun with the role. He's terrifying at times, he's hilarious at times, he's strange at times. You don't really know what you're getting with that character. Now, originally Matthew McConaughey wasn't actually meant to get the role of Wilmer. They were looking for somebody else at the time, and he was actually meant to play this kind of heroic character that comes into the start of the movie and the end. He was meant to be this kind of biker guy that Renee Zellweger's character talks to, and at the end of the movie he kind of sweeps in and saves her from the Sawyer family. When he was auditioning for the role at the time, he did ask about the role of Wilmer, and I think the director gave him like a wooden spoon or something, told him to go into a room with one of the casting directors and just terrify him, and he did exactly that. He went batshit crazy, just like he does in the movie, and he landed a role immediately. Renee Zellweger also does a pretty great job in the movie. Her role, isn't as meaty as Matthew McConaughey's, but she has a really interesting story arc. One thing I did enjoy about her in this movie is she's almost a prototype for characters like Sidney Prescott from Scream. She does start the movie as that kind of typical 70s, 80s final girl. She's a bookworm, she's quite quiet, she's got glasses on, you kind of know what you're expecting with her. Now as the movie goes on and she gets terrorized by Leatherface and his family, she kind of gets sick of what they're doing, and she does begin to fight back against them. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is where she just gets enough of everyone's shit. She's like, kill me or don't kill me. If you don't kill me, I'm leaving. It's one of the better scenes in the movie, just to show a final girl fighting back.
Don't you dare touch me! No. I'm gonna leave, and no one is gonna stop me. You sit the fuck down!
There are of course a lot of other issues with that scene, but just for her and her character arc overall, I did enjoy it. She does also do a lot of stunts in this movie. Now she did of course have a stunt woman, but even at that there's a lot of action pieces that she does in the film itself. Speaking of the action scenes, they are also a big positive with this movie. There's a lot going on constantly in the movie. There's a lot of chase sequences, there's a lot of bizarre choices as I said, but I do enjoy the action pieces. I will say they are pretty much recreations of scenes from that first movie. I'm not sure if the director was kind of paying tribute to the original movie or if he was kind of deconstructing it. You get a lot of that in this movie. There's a lot of choices that don't make a lot of sense. You can tell there's some sort of message there behind it, but just the director doesn't pull it off quite well. The action pieces though, they are good for what they are. They're kind of bigger scale events from the first movie, and a lot of them involve Renee Zellweger's character. I do also like some of the recreation scenes in the film. Of course, they are bigger and more bizarre than that first one, but I think that's what they were going with. With this movie, everything is definitely trashier and bolder than what we'd gotten. It's a bit of a confusing movie for sure. It's full of black humor. It is also full of really bizarre character and bizarre plot twists. One in particular is with the Illuminati and the government controlling the Solar family. And that's kind of where the movie takes a detour, and I'm going to go through my negatives. We're going to start with that bizarre plot twist with the Illuminati or the government, and they're controlling the entire Solar family, trying to create terror by people who are passing by and just kind of seeing what experiences they have. The plot device itself, it's not explained too well. You do kind of hear from the different family members throughout the movie that somebody is controlling them and giving them orders to do what they're doing. Throughout the movie, you don't really believe until halfway through a guy with a black suit walks in and pretty much confirms all their theories. It's a bizarre choice plot-wise. They also don't really explain it too much. You're kind of left up to your own devices to make up what actually it is all about. You do kind of keep waiting for a payoff and some sort of explanation, but none really comes. You get more questions with this movie than you get answers. The rest of the Solar family are also not too much to write home about. Wilmer, he does have this girlfriend who doesn't really fit in with the family themselves. She isn't coming across as kind of a redneck character. Instead, she has her own little business. She does talk a lot to Renee Zellweger's character about that kind of government plotline, and that's kind of what it seems she's only there for, just to kind of throw a female character in that can talk to Wilmer and talk to Renee Zellweger's character, but she doesn't actually do anything herself. We also don't get the return of the cook or any other characters from the last few movies. The only returning character is Leatherface, and by far he is the most bizarre thing in this movie besides the Illuminati. At the start of the movie, he does come across as quite terrifying, and the Leatherface we all know and love. But as the movie goes on, he does get a lot of different personas. At one point, he's an old lady. At one point, he seems to come across as a cross-dresser. Now, reading into this movie, the director does say that what he kind of envisioned for Leatherface was every time he put on a mask, he turned into that character. So he put on a female face, he turned female. If he turned into kind of a redneck lunatic, that was somebody else's face for some reason. He is a bizarre character. At times he's terrifying. At times you literally just laugh at him or take pity on him. And I do think that was a really bad choice for the movie. Although I love all of his little characters he has in this movie, some are hilarious, it does weaken the character overall. Now, looking back at the first movie, you do also see that with Leatherface. He is kind of a little bit more of a weaker character. He is bullied by his family, and he's always been that way. We also get the return of Grandpa, who is actually, yes, another returning character. He is just as bizarre as Leatherface in this one. Again, I'm not sure if it was intentional or not. When you look at Grandpa in this movie, just the makeup effects on him are ridiculously awful. I wasn't sure if it was meant to be a parody of the character or not. Now, I did look into it, and the makeup effect artist was like an 18-year-old, and it was his first time ever on a movie set. But Grandpa, when you look at him in this movie, he does look like Uncle Fester more than anything else. He does look like a caricature of himself. It is bizarre, it's really silly, and I'm not sure why they even made a decision to put him in there. He doesn't do anything in the movie. The only thing he really does is get up and walk away with a knife in a really comical scene. The kills as well, they're actually not too much to write home about. Again, they are recreations of kills from that original movie. We get the classic hook scene in this one again, literally almost cut by cut. It is the exact same scene. We also get the hammer to the head that we got in the original film. One scene in particular I did really enjoy was Wilmer kind of crushes a character's head with his robotic leg thing he's on, his brace. That was a really disturbing but really cool scene to watch. It is one of the better kills in the overall movie, and it's probably the highlight kill for me. But a lot of this movie reuses scenes from the original. We do get the classic kind of chase through the woods. We also get our final girl running through the house in the exact same way Sally did that in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. A lot of it, they do reuse scenes and dialogue from that original movie. Even the last act of the film itself, we have our final girl being chased down by Wilmer and Leatherface. One of them gets taken out by a plane instead of a lorry this time, but just like the rest of the movie, it doesn't explain who was in the plane, why they were there, or why they did it. A lot of this movie you do get a lot of questions and no answers. Even the last act of the movie we get the return of the Illuminati character, and he doesn't actually explain what's happening in the movie. It is so bizarre and it is so bonkers, it makes absolutely no sense. It does get grating at times, but honestly when I watch this movie I do still enjoy just that campy, kooky feel to it. I actually prefer this one more than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I'm not sure if that's because I saw it at a certain age or I saw it before the third movie in the series, but I've always warmed to this movie more than that third one. I will say guys, this is by far the most bizarre, kooky Leatherface you will get. The family themselves, they are completely different and are not different for the better. There's a lot wrong with this movie, but it is saved by Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. Now I know at the time both of them actually hated the movie and they actually tried to stop it from coming out. Matthew McConaughey in particular, he kind of wanted them to stop cashing in on his name, but looking at some recent interviews for them, both of them actually look back fondly on the experience. You can tell nobody really knew what they were doing in this movie. You can tell there was probably a lot of studio interference and the director had a lot of stuff that he wanted to discuss in the film. I do think he wanted to pick apart what the entire series was about, but he just didn't hit the nail on the head. But would I watch this movie again? I actually would. I do still enjoy this movie even though it makes no sense. As I said guys, the black humor doesn't always work. The performances of Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger definitely helped the movie, but I can admit it's an awful movie. There is so much wrong with this movie at the same time. But guys, of course, as always, let me know what you think of the movie. Have you seen this one before? And if you did, what are your thoughts on it? If you can guys, of course, comment down below, give the video a big thumbs up and follow me on social media. If you can, subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next one.